So many of the other things that are in there are real life, like squirting somebody with a carton of orange juice. I did that. The flight attendant that I'd been working with on that trip read my book and she wrote me and she's like, oh, I remember when your orange juice carton went rogue. So maybe that's why I write comedy, because I get into so many embarrassing moments.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, they say write what you know. Hey everyone, it's Alice, and I'm so excited about today's episode because I have a guest, and her name is Angela Ruth Strong. Let me tell you, she is proof that a heart-led author can build a whole beautiful career without abandoning the rest of her life to do it. So welcome back to your Right Life Coach podcast, and let's just go ahead and jump into this. Angela is a multi-published, award-winning author of Christian rom-com, which stands for romantic comedy. Her books have earned a top pick in Romantic Times, a Christie Award nomination, and the Cascade Award. And she's also landed on Amazon bestseller lists more than once. One of her novels, Finding Love in Big Sky, was even adapted for film, and she and her husband got to play extras in it. So that's kind of how fun a writing life can become, I think. But here's the part that really gets me. Angela writes a lot of that while she's working as a flight attendant. She's also a breast cancer survivor, and she started Idaho Writers to help other aspiring authors find their footing right where she lives in Idaho. And her newest book, Claire Holloway is Winging It, released recently, and it's book one in her high-flying romance series. I just finished that book myself, and oh my goodness, if you want a really fun read that probably ends too fast, because I think I read it in 2 days. Anyway, it's such a great book. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you think. It'll make your heart swell. It's just such a great book. And today, Angela is here to talk with us about what it really took to go from unpublished to multi-published, the growth, the setbacks, the rejection, and yep, the humor she brings to every page. So get ready. This one's going to encourage you right where you need it. Angela, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an honor.
Yeah. So you and I met like forever ago at a writer's conference when I was maybe a literary agent. I don't remember. But anyway, you were in one of my workshops and I remember thinking, this girl has potential. And so I don't remember exactly what year that was, but you have come so far since then. And it's just been really impressive to watch your writing career. So, and now you're a flight attendant who also writes rom-coms, including one literally set in the airline world, which is Claire Holloway is Winging It. So what's it like trying to live in both of those worlds at once?
Thank you so much. This is not a normal life. It's a crazy life, really. And one that requires me to be very flexible. So I can be writing in airports, I can be writing on airplanes, I can be writing in hotel rooms, or I just don't write and I go explore the world.
Awesome. How fun is that?
And my memory of meeting you is you were an editor at the time and you were teaching a class and I loved it and I just loved you. And then right after that, I found out you were becoming an agent and you were mostly repping nonfiction. And I was like, I wonder if she'd consider me. So that was really fun opportunity to work with you through that.
That was really fun. It was my honor. Yeah. So, and I remember some of those early books. Yeah. So your bio says your books have earned top pick in Romantic Times, a Christie nomination, the Cascade Award, and you've been a bestseller. But before any of that, what did unpublished Angela believe about herself as a writer that published Angela doesn't believe anymore?
I felt like I had to prove myself. I felt like if I didn't become published soon enough, I'd give up on my dreams and then they'd never happen.
That's awesome. So what kept you going then?
I think it was all the little yeses. And I'd think, oh, this is the big yes. And I'd move towards that. And it would just be a little yes. Like I thought I was going to have this giant step into success, but I'm still just taking little tiny baby steps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what did the road from unpublished to multi-published actually look like for you? Not the highlight reel, but the real journey. What did it look like?
It was my own writer's journey, my own character arc, and that I didn't accomplish alone. I was surrounded by other people on the same journey. And what's really cool about the writing life is that you meet other people who are weird like you in the same way, and then you can encourage each other. And the people that I met along the way, particularly Christina Tarabacchia, we met at my very first writing conference, and our career paths were very similar. Like we got agents at the same time, we finaled in contests at the same time, we sold our books at the same time. And it was just really great to share that journey with her. And since then, she actually became my editor. So you just never know where those relationships are going to lead.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. It is a very relational business, that's for sure. So was there a specific moment of rejection that could have ended your dream if you had let it?
I think my biggest rejection. So my first manuscript I'd finished when I went to that first conference, and I had interest from a publisher. They requested changes. I made those changes and they ended up not publishing them. But through that process, I discovered what I call the victim ladder. And it's like 8 steps from starting out with denial, like this didn't happen to me. And then the next step is blaming everybody else. Well, it's their fault for not seeing my brilliance or whatever. And then the next one is I can't change this. I can't keep going because of whatever. And then the next step is to wait and hope. So rather than keep moving forward or keep making changes or starting on that next manuscript, you just like wait and you stop right there and you wait for somebody to discover you. But then the next 4 steps on the rung are the exact opposite. So it goes into acceptance, like, okay, I've been rejected. What do I do now? The next step is owning it. Like, this is my career. I'm responsible for this. The next step is I can. So rather than focusing on what you can't do, you focus on what you can do. And then the final step is to just like continue forward. I'm sure there's a great word for that final step. But anyway, I had discovered these 8 steps along the way. So when I was rejected, I was like, okay, I got to climb the victim ladder. And so I just climbed my way up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep going. So I was prepared for that. And I wrote my second novel and I got an agent. And my agent loved this book. And we sent it to the same publisher who had rejected my first one because we knew they were interested. So I thought, this is it. This is it. I did better. I came back for more. And when I got the rejection from that kind of broke me in that moment. Yeah, that was probably my hardest rejection, but they are now my publisher. So you just never know.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And I love that. That's such great advice. The victim ladder. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. I guess that kind of blends into my next question is like, what kind of personal growth did you go through? Not just learning your craft or finding out great strategies, but something about who you actually had to become before your writing could really take the next step.
Yeah. So after that, my first novel that I sold was Finding Love in Sun Valley. And that was a new series that was coming out, a new line of books. It was Love Finds You in all these small towns across the country. And all you had to do was write a proposal. So that's basically 3 chapters and an outline. And I was like, I could throw that together. And I did, and I totally forgot about it. And when I got good news from my agent, I expected it to be on one of these first 2 novels that I'd spent so much time on, like years on these first 2 novels. But no, I had sold a book that I hadn't even written yet, which was completely unexpected and just such a blessing. And I don't even know if I was ready to sell that first book, but it was like a gift from God saying, you can do this, keep going. And from that book, because it was a part of a big line, and I thought, this is just a random book, but because it was such a part of a huge line, it sold in Costco, it had a hardback. And it was optioned for film, which I didn't find out until a long time later. And I never expected that. And I forget what the question was. Why was I telling you?
Well, it was basically like, who did you have to become?
Oh, okay.
In
So I
the
was going to
process.
say, and then that book became a series of 5 books about romance and relationship. And I do write romance, which can be frowned upon, but I say that my stories aren't just about a man and woman falling in love, but it's about the woman finding out how loved she already is. And when I go back to those 5 books and I read through them, I can see my own journey in each one of them, like what I was learning at the time. So really, if you want to know what I've learned, it's all in my book. And some of them have been hard lessons.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, it makes total sense. So, well, kind of your trademark or your brand now is you write comedy so well. So is there a connection between your ability to find the funny and hard moments in real life and the humor that shows up on the page?
I think it's just my coping method. Like, I remember writing a story in high school for some project at school. And I remember my dad reading it and just laughing and laughing and laughing. And I was like, I didn't even know it was funny. Like, those are just my thoughts. That's how I think. But when I first wanted to get started, my very first book that didn't sell was considered a chick lit, which was big at that time. And it was women's fiction that was humorous. And then that market kind of got oversaturated and nobody wanted to buy chick lit anymore. And so I just kind of wove the comedy into my romance. But now that it's made a resurgence, I'm like, this is my time. This is the moment I've been waiting for. So I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's so cool. So going back to Claire Holloway's Winging It, which is probably, I've read several of your books, quite a few of them, and some of them are funnier than others. Claire Holloway is probably the funniest one so far. So I just want to know, where did the idea come from and how much of your own flying life made it onto the page?
Oh, I love that it was the funniest for you. And that's probably from my own mishaps. This story opens when she's in her uniform and she arrives at a brand new airport she's never been to before. And just because she's in uniform, people assume she knows what's happening. And that was my experience. I arrived at an airport in uniform and somebody asked me where a certain gate was, and I had no idea. And I like looked up and pointed a direction, and it turned out that that terminal was actually closed down. I gave her the wrong directions. So I used that to start out my story. But
So,
yeah, God uses everything.
yep, absolutely. Yeah. So if a discouraged, still unpublished writer were listening right now, what would you tell them about who they need to become? Like, not what strategy they need to learn, but really, who do they need to become in order to realize their own dream?
I think that they can't know who they want to become ahead of time because your journey is probably not going to look like that. They just have to be open to the journey and whatever opportunities God provides. And it's probably never going to look like what you expect. So maybe just being willing to pursue opportunities.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So looking back, was there a belief you had to let go of about what a successful author looks like or how somebody gets there?
I think being a successful author is in our mind, we're like big names, but there's so many great authors out there who aren't big names, who aren't well known, but their stories touch so many people who read them. And that should really be the goal, is to reach out to readers and be able to share stories that are going to touch their lives rather than worrying about who we are, our name. My pen name is Angela Ruth Strong because my first book came out as Angela Ruth. And then when I married Mr. Strong, I wanted to add the Strong. And so now my books say Angela Ruth Strong. But so often I get emails from people calling me Ruth. And I was like, okay, yeah, my name means nothing.
That's funny.
It's humbling.
Yeah. So a lot of people would look at you and think, wow, she's successful. She's on her way. How would you define success as an author? What does it look like?
I feel like that's a question that authors will always have to debate for themselves over and over and over because it's probably not going to look like what you expect. So success for me is really enjoyment. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy the process. And I've decided that it's very much like our spending style with money. When my husband and I went through premarital counseling, they said your four spending styles are enjoyment, stability, status, or control. So depending on what kind of author you are, you're probably going to care more about one of those than the other. So if you care more about status, then it will be more about the awards, more about the big publishers, more about the endorsements. If you care more about control, then you're probably going to want to be a self-published author where you have complete control over your book cover and can pick what sales you put your book on. And that's going to create your success. If you care more about stability, then you're probably going to write the same genre over and over and over again. and be known for that because you know what you do best. Me, I like to try new things. Nicole Deese called me innovative the other day, and I was like, oh, I like that. So I would rather try something new, even if it's going to fail, than do the same thing over and over again. And that's for me, enjoyment. And so success for me is enjoying what I do.
I love that. That's really cool. Okay, so what's one thing you know now about being a writer that you wish somebody had told you when you were just setting out?
That it's more about my character growth, my personal arc, my personal story, than it is about success, than it is about getting to the end. It's more about growing every step of the way.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. Very good. Yeah. So I
I
pretty
get to
much
be
went,
your guinea pig.
I pretty much went through pretty much all of them, and some of them had some overlap, so I didn't use them all. So let me ask you this. What would you say is the favorite book that you have? Like that's your baby. That's the best one ever, or the one that
Mm,
was the most enjoyable, or the most satisfying. What would you say
yeah.
is the best?
My most enjoyable book to write was Husband Auditions. I didn't have a contract for that yet. I wrote it based on a list from a 1950s magazine on ways to find a husband. And I just thought, how fun would that be for a modern day woman to try out this antiquated list? And we were sitting around at a writing conference and I was sharing it with my writer friends. And so everybody just started looking at the list and throwing out ideas. And I was like, this could be the funnest thing ever. So that's really a book that I didn't struggle to write. There was no middle where I was like, what do I do? I just had this list in front of me and just enjoyed every moment of it. I had a few different publishers interested in it. And then that's when I found out that I had breast cancer. So through going through breast cancer, I had chemo brain. I really couldn't think. I especially couldn't create new stories. But I just had that husband audition story so fresh in my mind that I just would visualize it as a movie trailer. Like that's how I couldn't write, but I could just like imagine. So I imagined it as a movie trailer and you might start crying. You know, I cry, but it was my last day of chemo and I was ringing the bell. I was doing my bell ringing and I was doing it live because we were going through COVID and nobody could actually come to my bell ringing. They couldn't come into the hospital. So I was like, well, I'll put it live and then I can have people with me that way. And Janira Trump at Kriegel I knew she was interested in the story, but she'd already knew that they were going to sign me. I didn't know it yet, but she said she opened Facebook and there was my live and there was my bell ringing. And she's like, oh my gosh, she has no idea how much better this is going to get because they were going to offer me a contract. And so for me, it holds such a new place in my heart. And I was just offered a contract for a screenplay of that book this last week. So my dream's
Wow.
coming true. No.
Wow. Oh, that is so amazing. I read that book too and loved it. So yes, that's a really good one. And it's so cool that you had so much fun writing it. And so for anybody listening who might be struggling with health issues or brain fog, whatever, what would you say to encourage them?
Oh, there's a season for everything in life. And though that was a really dry season for my writing, it was a great season for my own growth. So that was the book that became a finalist for the Christie Awards. And I was going to a follow-up appointment at the hospital with the oncologist when I was listening to the podcast announcing who the finalists were. And when they said my story, I just like started sobbing. I couldn't believe it. And I was sat in my car in the parking lot of the hospital and I was like, I gotta get it together or they're gonna think my cancer's back. But it was just such a great moment of overcoming.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Angela. So that's pretty much all the questions I have, but one last one is where can readers find you and your books? Where's the best place to find you?
My website is angelaruthstrong.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there as well and stay updated because I have more updates coming. Also, I have a strong readers group on Facebook. That's a lot of fun. and then most of the other social medias. I did have one TikTok go viral, so that was really cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So, and for anybody listening, I really highly recommend getting on Angela's mailing list, because if you want a good example of an engaging email list and engaging emails that keep you involved in a writer's journey, Angela is just such a fantastic example of that. So go to Angela Ruth Strong, get on her email list, and enjoy the ride, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would say that my life is not the normal author life. So if you always want a lot of surprises, there's a lot of surprises in there.
That's right. Well, and I love how you also invite your readers to weigh in on, what should I name this character, or what should the scene be for this? It's a lot of fun. It makes people feel like they're involved in your books before they even get to read them. So,
Oh, and they inspire me all the time.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I'm so proud of you. And I knew her way back when.
I didn't think I was going to cry today. Dang
it. Well, that's what makes you real. So, that's huge. Thanks for being here, Angela.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My friend, I believe you have a story worth telling. Not because it's perfect, not because you have it all figured out, but because someone out there is lying awake right now looking for exactly what you've lived and learned. Go write it for them. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep writing, keep showing up, because your story matters and your message can change lives.